Well, by this point in time, everybody knows Cloud9 did not get off to the best start with this new roster. Obviously, they completely got demolished in Flashpoint 2, losing 0-2 to both Virtus.Pro and OG and not even winning a single map. They were competitive on 2 of them, but the fact that they didn't even manage to get a map in either one of their series, that's kind of concerning, especially when Henry G, general manager at Cloud9, made it seem like they could win the entire tournaments. Acetate gets one through the smoke. Pretty standard setup by VP here. This is... oh man, that was a really good use. Really good use of utility and shooting at the same time. You know, that hit that VP does right there, when that's well executed, there's really not a lot that counter-terrorists can do about that. It's just one of those things where you either need a CT to make a hero play or to have exceptionally good timing on the counter nades. Obviously, VP gets the bomb plant in. Cloud9 are able to take the site back. With some good utility usage, being able to synchronize well. That was a good retake by Cloud9. Woxic gets an op on the second round. But as you're going to see here, Cloud9 is going to lose this round. And this isn't something I can't really blame on them. It's that the way the economy works right now is if you win the pistol but then lose the second round, it's just a nightmare to get back into any game, especially when you're on the CT side when everything is more expensive. It just makes it so that you can almost never get back to even on the economy unless you win a lot of rounds in a row after that. It just always seems like you're behind. Here you can see Cloud9. Floppy and Acetate are going to be playing on the B bomb site for pretty much the entire map. You can see they pushed a little bit too far ahead, and VP with that Molotov right there and that pressure are able to find the kill on Acetate. You're going to see later in the demo that Cloud9 tends to go really shallow in the bomb site when it comes to holding this B position, and I think that's because Acetate got killed so early. Here Woxic is going to get a couple of really good off kills, as right now he's basically the only one on the bomb site. Misses Jame right there, but really you can't ask him to do more than that. He managed to pick up 2 kills before VP really takes the bomb site. Now Cloud9's up 3 members to 2 for this retake. The bad part about using Woxic there is now Jame is basically able to retake the op, and you can see he gets one through the glass right there into construction, which is really just kind of bad luck from Cloud9, as now it leaves Mezzy in a 1 versus 2. Yeah, and this is what I was saying before, where you have this nightmare scenario. Because if you just look at the bank of all the Cloud9 players, they're just way behind in the economy. Like, they're basically on the 3rd round relegated to pistols. And you can see VP, because they managed to pick up that M4, are in a much better spot economically, even though they lost the pistol round. See right here, not a terrible use of HE grenades by Cloud9. They weren't able to do a lot of damage, but what they were basically trying to do is come up with banana control with just those HE grenades, and even though that doesn't end up happening because grenades don't really do a lot of damage, it's priming some things that you'll see happen in the future. Unfortunately, Cloud9 can just never get in this map. They never even make it competitive, really. Right here, because Cloud9 hasn't pushed up at all, they don't have any information, and they don't even try to go and grab this gun. Now, I can hear the argument saying that they don't want to throw bad money after that kill, but really, because they're all on Deagles or CZs anyway, they probably should try to go recover that rifle. You can see right here, and this is going to become another common theme within this demo, is that Cloud9 basically backs off of the B bomb site. Because they got that kill and there wasn't an immediate follow-up by VP, they probably thought that VP was looking at doing some kind of cheeky execute A. So they rotated guys back near CT spawn in order to basically quickly deal with that threat. And since none materialized, basically VP just take the bomb site for free. It's not the worst adaptation by Cloud9 ever, but to be honest, it could have been handled better. And again, this is a new roster. There's certain things that they're going to be trying to figure out, but with VP's resurgence recently in these online matches, you might think that Cloud9 was looking at more demos than they were. And even though it's still pretty early in this half, it's just unfortunately a sign of things to come. So this time Alex is going to end up rotating B in order to do a little bit more for this B bomb site, which VP has already shown that they're willing to attack over and over again. They haven't even tried to hit A yet. Right here, just really good use of utility. Quicker's able to pick up that kill just with an HE grenade. And they basically got that information just from where the grenades were coming from and trading. That's just VP straight up knowing this map better than Cloud9 does. And the fact that Cloud9 doesn't have any armor either. You see Alex is able to trade one kill back, but he probably wasn't expecting VP to be all on this bomb site because they didn't really have anything pushed up, so they had no information to go on. Basically not really a whole lot going on early. This time Cloud9 looks like they're going to gamble stack at Banana since they know VP really want to take control of Banana early in the round. S-Tag's able to get one through the smoke. Cloud9 are happy with that kill, so they send Mezzy and Alex all the way around back to A. But you can see VP are kind of calling Cloud9's bluff as they push up into the bomb site. Buster catches the right timing and they're traded out. And this is just one of those another unfortunate kills that Floppy's taken out through the smoke. Cloud9 does take a bit of a gamble here that there isn't going to be the third man on the bomb site, but you can see that it pays off. Alex with that little boost is able to take out the bomb planter. Yeah, now you can see it's a 2-on-2 and VP are in a pretty advantageous scenario even though they didn't get the bomb down. Yeah, now VP... This is a bit of a guess by VP that Mezzy isn't just sitting on that A bomb site, but basically they just figured out walk up, take the bomb site for free. Now Mezzy's in a 1 versus 2 with only a FAMAS against 2 AKs. This is just a really bad spot. We'll just skip ahead because Mezzy isn't able to pull off this clutch. It's good clearing out of that angle right there. It's just that there's a lot to check and he's got absolutely no information. So he can't win that round. Yeah, and this is what I was saying before about the economy, is that last round Cloud9 was really only able to get a partial buy-in, and even though they've lost the last 4 rounds in a row, their economy is still in a really bad spot. Because you can see they got 4 Deagles in the CZ. Really just can't do a whole lot. Yeah, that was just Woxic with some unnecessary aggression there, and the reason why I would say that that's unnecessary aggression is because Alex is actually kind of hovering mid there. What they could have done is they could have used Alex to kind of check that angle through apartment and at least got some information so it wasn't just a completely blind push. I know Woxic was trying to catch somebody with a grenade in their hand, but it's just the way that that was handled could have been better. You know, here we have a straight CZ and a Deagle versus all the AKs on VP. Floppy manages to get a couple of kills, but the damage is already done and VP gets on the bomb site easily. You can see VP still got some utility left to burn, so they can just kind of sit on the bomb site and force Cloud9 to come to them. Yeah, James hears the footsteps. Is able to take out Mezzy pretty easily. Here you're going to see a nice play by Alex. He actually manages to take 2 guns off of VP just by waiting. He doesn't make it out alive himself, but, you know, it's probably nice to do that economic damage. Not that it really pays off in this half because VP just steamrolls him. You can see once again, now that Cloud9 is fully equipped, they're going to commit 3 people to top a banana in order to secure it early, but I really like that deep smoke that they put near that log pile, because then they get complete visual control about the top of banana, and then they can decide if they want to leave somebody there. Nice pick by Alex, just looking straight into apartments. It's a place that VP probably could have guessed that he was hanging out since he was killed last time there, just kind of picked off. This time, because he has the op, it's a different story. However, this is where things almost immediately start to fall apart for Cloud9. You're going to see that Sanji manages to work his way onto the balcony there and manages to find a kill. That's something that you'd think Cloud9 should be able to keep better track of with their angles. If somebody's going to take an angle where they can be seen from that balcony, then somebody else has to be holding it. That's just kind of... That's just poor teamwork and something that could get better as as this roster continues to develop. Like, I know that this entire tournament kind of ended in disaster for Cloud9, but I'm not really willing to give up on them quite yet. There's too much raw talent on this team for them to at not least be more competitive. James with that up close hopping. Wow, manages to get a kill, no scope. Now it's a 1 versus 2. Cloud9 definitely has to try the retake on this. They got that flashbang, which should make it pretty easy to get in. They used both of them. Don't find him in the B bomb site itself, so they gotta guess where he is here. Which you can see they do. Wow, and they line up they line up one at a time for him. That's just really poor by Cloud9. They had already cleared out the fountain area, so they know he wasn't in there, so they knew he had to be within the church or near the construction. And instead they basically just funnel in one at a time to allow him to kill them all. That's just really, really poor teamwork. Like, that's something that if I was Kassad would drive me absolutely crazy. Now instead of winning that round, they're right back to pistols. And they're way down, so they're down in the economy. They're down 5 rounds early in the CT side. And in what I think is a T-sided map, this Inferno. Because if it's played well, there's a lot of executes that you can't really do a whole lot about if you're the CTs. You're going to see the adaptation by Cloud9. They're sensing that VP really likes these executes on B. So they're going to pull Woxic inside the bomb site. Floppy's kind of caught sleeping right there, so he gets killed. This is a pretty nice counter utility here. Acetate can't really convert it. Unfortunately, Woxic, because he was standing in that Inferno grenade, incendiary grenade, Molotov cocktail, can't get a whole lot done. Alex, unfortunately, killed through the smoke. VP might have been able to see his character model. Now it's Mezzy in a 1 versus 3. Mezzy, I feel like, is the odd man out on this team in a lot of ways. I mean, everybody knows he comes from a very depleted UK scene. He's shown a lot of talent, I think. Maybe not like superstar level talents. I mean, Woxic's already a pretty established player. Alex is a well-established IGL. Esatag's like almost unprecedented meteoric rise in Astralis has been well documented. And Floppy isn't known to be a young player, so he's not really going to command a whole lot of respect. So Mezzy is basically dually supposed to be an unknown type of player, but he does at the same time need to shoulder a lot of the burden of fragging because, like, Esatag's still largely an unknown. I mean, his time in Astralis, he looked absolutely great. But you're talking about one of the greatest cores, maybe the greatest core of players. Talk Zip to Vikes and Dupree of all time. See, that's a nice little boost there to try to get information. And see that Cloud9 right now isn't fully committing to just sticking 3 on that bomb site and leaving them there. It's not the worst idea ever. Because even if you're Cloud9 and you're going, oh, they got a really good hit on the B bomb site, you gotta think they might be coming A eventually. See some good fragging by Alex this round. He's able to get 2 kills, and then he kind of disappears back into the smoke where they don't expect him to be. Woxic can't finish off Jane, but now he's in a 1 versus 2 with only an off. Pretty easy retake by Cloud9. They knew they were in a 1 versus 2, so they could pretty much walk into the bomb site, no problem. That was a good round by Cloud9. Once they realized that execute was coming in, they had some good counter smokes. Counter utility to kind of slow down and stop that push right there. That showed that they were pretty well schooled. And you can see now that Cloud9 has the extra utility, they're using that to kind of cover top banana, because a lot of these B bomb site hits kind of require you to be pushed all the way up. And you can see the adaptation coming in by VP right here. Instead of going for that execute, they just kind of all walk onto the bomb site using as little utility as they can and basically just completely catches Cloud9 on their heels. Alex and Mezzy managed to do a lot of damage, but because they can only find 1 kill and because Cloud9 is well behind in the economy, they have to instantly call for the save. There's nothing else that they can really do. Yeah, another thing to point out right here is the scoreboard. Now, it's really nice when you have an IGL like Alex who can get all kinds of kills, but in general, I still don't think you should be relying on your in-game leader in order to get kills, because an in-game leader's job isn't just to frag out of control. Their job is to basically order everybody else around to frag out of control. Buster manages to get 1 kill here because Cloud9 were on their heels. This is once again, I think I think that they just understand this map a lot better than Cloud9 do, because you can see a lot of Cloud9's utility doesn't hit the way it should. You can see right there, I'm not sure what Esatag was doing there when he was going through that smoke. going around that smoke, I should say. I just think when you're a mad man down, that push is a high risk, medium reward type push, because best case scenario, then you're back into a 4 versus 4. And sure, you have top banana control, but because you don't know where the rest of VP are, it's really hard to say that that's a worthwhile push, because you could just run into 3 other people and then you get traded. Then you're in a 3 versus 4. But the effect of VP being so effective on the B bomb site is Cloud9 just rotate everybody out to that B bomb site, and then they get to walk onto A for free with 5 alive and no resistance. I mean, I know being in a 3 versus 5 is very difficult, especially when you have to kind of make decisions there. It's really difficult. Do you gamble that they're going to be hitting 1 bomb site? Do you go 2 and 1? Do you let your lurker kind of split between the 2 and hope that they can go around through mid in order to get to the right bomb site? Unfortunately, they kind of gambled and lost here. Now, considering where they are on the scoreboard and where their economy is, it's probably not the worst idea just to gamble stack on a single site, so I can't really blame them for that. This is also kind of a bad sign, I think, for where this Cloud9 team is at mentally. As you can see, Floppy and Esateg were the ones who were always going on the B bomb site. Now they rotated Esateg so that he's on A. And they basically sent Mezzy and Alex there too in order to try to get some frags, which they managed to do early, but they're traded back. This time it looks like Cloud9 is making the right call, leaving 2 men on A. Yeah, and this is another instance where VP just seems like they know better on this map. They know that Alex is going to be very shallow in the bomb site near those boxes, so instead of trying to plant right away, they basically wait for him to show himself running around those boxes. And he does, and then they just take his head off. Yeah, like I said, we're 12 rounds in, and this is already looking very desperate for Cloud9. They've never denied a bomb plant so far. The 2 wins are both on retaken bomb sites. So yeah, and this is another one that if you go back and look, Floppy and Esateg both just ran in and died more or less. They both threw HE grenades into Banana. And I can't help but feel that that's like a massive mistake, that there was some miscommunication there, that one of them was supposed to throw a flash and the other was supposed to throw an HE so they do some damage and hopefully blind anybody else who's there. Because as it is, they basically just walk in and die. Fortunately, Cloud9 are able to make it a little bit scrappy after that and even it down to a 2 versus 2 here. But at this point in time, it's still looking very desperate. Yeah, you can see here that Peeker's advantage showing itself, because even though this is a LAN tournament, they are still playing online. You can see Jame peeked Woxic, and then Mezzy peeked Jame, and then Yukindar basically with just the Kobe grenade ends the round. It's been a while, but now Cloud9 is basically back on pistols. Esateg manages to pick up that M4, but 1 rifle against a fully stocked VP. It's gonna need to be a hero play. And you can see I like this little adaptation out of Cloud9 too, where they flash in for Woxic. I mean, that really doesn't do a whole lot unless he gets both kills there, but since you're already down this far, why not try some cheeky things? You gotta take some gambles when you're down this far and your economy is just completely in the tank. Not a lot going on right now. VP are split. I like that smoke. That's a nice fake that they're putting on Cloud9, but Cloud9 doesn't bite it. They're already basically gamble stacked all the way in on this bomb site. Yeah, you can see Quicker does end up going down, but he isn't fooled by that little bait that Floppy was trying. You can see Cloud9 is able to trade really nice here. It's not like Cloud9 gets just completely out-fragged in this map. It's just that it's clear VP just knows the limits of this map. They got better tactics on this map. They just kind of dink and dunk Cloud9 all over the place. And the other worrying thing about Cloud9 is that they do get a lot of their frags in these kind of messy scenarios. They don't win a lot of opening duels. And like I said, it's just unreasonable to think Alex is going to be able to do this map in and map out. You know, you want Woxic and Essetag and Mezzy to be able to do things like this. Yeah, now it's also time to kind of talk about the positioning here. You can see on that B bomb site, Essetag is playing near the front of the bomb site. Floppy's almost always been playing near coffins. This is an interesting setup and one that I wasn't expecting out of Cloud9. I know that in reality, Floppy and Essetag are both very unskilled and skilled but unproven players. But I would think that Essetag's time on Astralis would basically mean that he was in the more carry-oriented position, that he would be the one near coffins, near the back of the bomb site, not the one who was standing forward, putting himself in the line of fire earlier. You know, I thought he'd be playing that anchor position, but really he doesn't. Yeah, you can see Floppy tries to just walk through the smoke there, and Virtus.Pro are just having none of that. They basically get him through the smoke before he even really shows himself. It's just one of those little things that Cloud9 can't control, but it just shows how desperate they are. Now Woxic is all by himself with that hop trying to retake versus 5. It's just kind of an unwinnable scenario. I mean, the biggest problems with Cloud9 on this bomb site is VP just kind of big brained them all over the map. They knew where to execute and when to execute. You know, they knew which levers to pull. Even though, as you can see, it's not like VP massively outfragged them. I mean, they did outfrag Cloud9, definitely, but not massively so. But you could just see that their understanding of the executes and the positioning on this map and where the CTs were likely to set up was just far superior to what Cloud9 was able to offer. Which is a little bit worrying considering this is the first time that VP should be seeing these type of setups. I mean, maybe they could infer certain things from scrimming against Cloud9, but really a lot of this should be brand new to them. Ah, this time it's VP setting up the gamble stack. Cloud9 are going to run into this with no information. Wow, they're running into the gamble stack. Good early fragging, though. Oh, nobody cleared out pits. Oh, man. Oh, man. So Yukindar gets 4K. Wow. That's just poorly... It's hard to say that that's poor communication. I feel like that's something that should come with time, but Cloud9 should know to check pit. They should have somebody whose job it is to go and check those off angles. Probably the guy that doesn't have the bomb. That could be poor communication, don't get me wrong, but I feel like with teamwork that'll become easier. I mean, look at the setup from VP. They make it clear that they don't want to fight at banana, so they throw that more shallow smoke near that little wall there. Just completely shuts down any quick attempts to take B by Cloud9. That's just really good knowledge of the map. And then this is just really, really poor. Alex walks through the smoke while reloading, so not only does the sound give away his position, but he doesn't even have a gun up to be able to fight back. That's just a really poor gamble, and one that you don't need to do. I mean, you can argue that maybe they have if they had information that nobody was near CT spawn, which they didn't, by the way, you can maybe argue that that's at least a little bit more justified, but that's just a misplay, plain and simple. And you can see VP's got the superior firepower. Oh, not able to do the retake. James gonna sit here and see if he can't find some exit frags. Well, now VP find themselves right in the same position that Cloud9 did at the start of this map, where the CTs won the pistol round and then the terrorists win the subsequent round. So now VP, in theory, should be way behind on the economy themselves. And now Cloud9 has all of these guns and all this utility. Let's see what their T sides look like. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of their CT sides. And spoiler alert, I know how this ends. We don't get to see a lot of the T sides either. Really interesting position by VP, holding these angles in apartments. Managed to get 2 kills out of it and only trade for 1. That's just really clever stuff. Now maybe you can say Cloud9 should have tried to use some utility there in order to check balcony, but that's just such an odd position. It's unfortunate they weren't able to trade back, and I feel like they should have, especially because they were stacking 3 guys there. Just VP kind of getting away with one, so to speak. Now VP has all the information about where all the members of Cloud9 are, so they can basically, even though they were down a man, they could basically set up this pincer play right here, and Cloud9 just kind of stood there and accepted their deaths. I feel like Alex should have called, walked back through mid, go to the other A, split them up, just sprint back through mid towards the B bomb site. I mean, honestly, almost anything would have been better than what they did. Because VP were basically able to just round them up and kill them all in there, and now reset the economy. See some good smoke set up by VP here. Boy, it really seems like they know how and when to use those smoke grenades. Yeah, James is pretty safe just to sit there with that smoke. Because the way they had that set up, there really wasn't a whole lot Cloud9 could do about James just sitting there. They're going to get the bomb plan in, but that is just a pretty clever way to take a gun out of Cloud9's hands. I mean, it doesn't matter so much because the weaponry is pretty poor on Cloud9 in general. But in a gun round, that is a good setup. Interesting force by VP here. This is probably something that Cloud9 were not expecting. And you can definitely tell that they weren't expecting it based on what VP just did, where they basically waited for those mollies to clear and then just barreled down Banana. Another just Cloud9 not checking all the angles. I know that there was that smoke down there. But man, that was just beautiful positioning by Ikindar in order to get that kill. And here, once again, nobody bothers to check coffins. I mean, this is... Oh, this is just pretty poor stuff by Cloud9. I don't know what to think, because on the one hand, this is stuff that you probably could fix just by playing more, but on the other hand, it worries me that they don't have a lot of this stuff already drilled in. Like, basically, it kind of looks like they aren't all on the same page. Wow. I mean, I don't mind the fact that Cloud9 just tried to rush in like this, because at this point in time, it was already looking pretty desperate. Man, overall, it looks like Cloud9 needs to work on their teamwork quite a bit. It also seems like they need to come back and study this Inferno map. Honestly, this VP team would be a good team to study, because I do think that this VP team is really good on this map, and they actually show later in the tournament just how drilled they are on this map. So that would be a good one to watch. Again, fragging, it's hard to think that Alex is going to be able to do this game in and game out. They are eventually going to need to get more out of Woxic, get more out of Mezzy for sure, and show Esateg to recapture some of his form from Astralis, because he really didn't do a whole lot of anything on this map. And in fact, the things that he did do were almost uniformly bad.